Hello there. Welcome to the Midnight Scientists. I am so glad you have chosen to join me tonight to let the world outside gently fade away as we drift together into a place of quiet wonder. Perhaps it is evening for you. The day has been put to rest, and the soft blanket of night is drawing near. Or maybe it is the deep, quiet hours of the morning, a peaceful space between yesterday and tomorrow. Wherever you are in your journey through time, you are welcome here. As you begin to settle in, you might find a comfortable position, letting your body feel heavy and supported. You might take a slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, feel a little of the day's tension melting away. There is nothing else you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Just rest and listen. Tonight, our story is about something you know intimately, something so common, it can seem ordinary, yet so powerful. It shapes worlds. Our story is about water. We will follow its gentle, unending path from the silent, cold expanse of space, through ancient, dreaming oceans across frozen landscapes and sleeping empires, all the way to the quiet glass of water that may be resting beside you now. My only hope is that this story is just interesting enough to hold your attention softly, but not so interesting that it keeps you from your well-deserved rest. The true goal here is to be a gentle current to carry your mind softly and peacefully towards the shores of sleep. So, get cozy. Allow your eyes to close if you haven't already. Let the sound of my voice be a soft murmur in the background of your thoughts, and let us begin. Before the earth was a whisper of blue in the cosmos, before any clouds danced in its skies, and long before any ocean sighed against a shore, there was only space. A vast, silent, and deep darkness shimmering with potential. And in that great cosmic stillness, something miraculous began to take shape. Tiny, persistent molecules of water, H2O. A beautifully simple arrangement. 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. A molecule born not on our world, but in the glowing furnaces of distant, ancient stars. It all starts with hydrogen, the first and most ancient element. Just moments after the universe itself drew its first breath, hydrogen was already there, drifting through an ocean of nascent light. It is the lightest of all things, the simplest, the universe's most fundamental building block. Imagine it as a fine, invisible dust, everywhere. Then, far away, in the blazing hearts of stars, a cosmic alchemy began. Nuclear fusion started to gently press that hydrogen into heavier elements among them, oxygen. And when these immense, fiery stars reached the end of their long lives, they exhaled in a spectacular, silent bloom of light called a supernova, scattering that precious oxygen across the cosmos like a celestial gardener sowing seeds into the dark soil of space. Now, picture these 2 elements, ancient hydrogen and newly born oxygen, floating in the deep, cold emptiness between the stars. They begin to find one another, not in a rush, of course. The distances are vast, and time moves differently here. It is less like a collision, and more like a slow, graceful waltz, a dance choreographed over millions of years. on the surfaces of tiny frozen dust grains. These atoms meet and bond. They join together, forming little molecules of water, locked in ice, a fine cosmic frost on the particles of space. This was the universe's first water, born in silence and cold. Over immense stretches of time, these ice-coated grains of dust began to gather. Drawn together by a gentle, persistent gravity, they clumped and clustered, forming larger and larger bodies. Comets, asteroids, the building blocks of planets. Many scientists believe that the water that fills our oceans, the water that makes our planet blue, did not begin here. It was a gift from the cosmos. It hitched a ride. Picture our young Earth, a world still glowing with the heat of its own formation. It was being showered by countless comets and asteroids in a period we call the Late Heavy Bombardment. It was as if the universe, with a gentle and steady hand, was quenching the thirst of a newborn planet. Among the dust and rock and fire came water. Comets, which are like great cosmic snowballs, delivered immense quantities. Asteroids, too, their rocky interiors holding frozen water, contributed to this planetary hydration. It is a soft and comforting thought that the substance that gives us life arrived here as millions of gentle, celestial gifts. Of course, some of Earth's water may have also come from within. As the planet churned, water vapor could have been released from deep inside the cooling rock, seeping up through the crust in great plumes of steam. A process called volcanic outgassing. It is likely a blend of both, a delivery from the heaven above and a wellspring from the heart of the earth below. And here is a thought to hold as you drift, a quietly astonishing one. Many of those original water molecules, the ones that made that incredible journey 4 billion years ago, are still here. Water is a great traveler, constantly moving and changing form. But the molecules themselves are ancient survivors. It is entirely possible that a few of them, molecules older than the dinosaurs, older than the mountains, are swirling gently in the glass beside your bed right now. Water is such a wonderfully peculiar substance. It is the only thing on Earth that exists naturally in all 3 states: a solid, a liquid, and a gas. This is because of its simple, bent shape, like a little triangle. This shape gives it a slight electrical polarity, allowing it to form gentle connections called hydrogen bonds. It's sticky in a molecular sense, clinging softly to itself. It is these gentle, sticky bonds that make water so special. They are why water is so good at dissolving other things, earning it the name, the universal solvent. It is why your tea gently releases its color and flavor, why a river can carry nutrients for miles and miles. But before it could do any of that, before it could cradle life or carve canyons, water had to settle. The earth had to cool. A crust had to form over the molten rock. And once the surface stopped bubbling like a cosmic stew, the water began to condense. And then the rains came. We are not talking about a gentle afternoon shower. We are talking about a rain that may have lasted for millions of years. Imagine a sky thick with clouds, blotting out the young sun, storms that never ended, and oceans, gradually, patiently, pooling across the warm, rocky surface. A great, planetary rinsing, preparing the world for all the wonder that was to come. Those first oceans were likely hot and turbulent, but water, ever the patient artist, began to shape the surface almost immediately. It carved the first gentle valleys, smoothed the sharp edges of the rocks, and created the first quiet, stable places where life could perhaps take hold. There is a soft poetry in this. Water, born in the coldest depths of space, arrives on a world of fire, survives chaos and collision, and slowly, patiently, becomes the calm, reflective cradle of all life. Even today, we are still gently uncovering the clues to this ancient story. We look to the stars and comets, searching for answers. But the mystery is part of its beauty. The idea that your next quiet sip of water is made of molecules older than the earth itself. That is quite a gentle thought to drift away on. And so we rest here, on a blue planet, floating in the quiet of space, all because a few atoms, billions of years ago, decided to hold hands and begin a journey together. Life, as it turns out, has a taste for calm, quiet places, and long before any creature walked the land, long before any bird sang in a tree, something extraordinary was unfolding in the deep, silent stillness of the early oceans. Tiny, invisible sparks of life were forming, and water was their nursery. If you could drift back in time, some 3.8 billion years ago, you would find a very different Earth. The oceans were vast, stretching beneath a hazy, quiet sky. In the deep, dark places of the sea, especially around hydrothermal vents, something amazing was happening. Here, warm, mineral-rich water gently flowed from the Earth's crust. It was a stable, energy-rich environment. It seems an unlikely place for life to begin, but it makes a strange, quiet sense. The conditions were just right. A gentle warmth, a supply of minerals, and the protective embrace of the deep ocean. In this gentle, watery cradle, simple molecules began to assemble. They formed primitive membranes, tiny bubbles that held the chemistry of life inside. Once these little bubbles could make copies of themselves, they were no longer just chemistry. They were biology, and water made it all possible. Water is the perfect solvent for life. It allows all the necessary molecules to float, meet, and interact. Without water, the first steps toward life would have been impossible. Even now, every living cell, including your own, is mostly water. It is the setting for all of life's most important processes. Your blood, the tears that well in your eyes, the very moisture of your breath. It is all water, facilitating the quiet miracle of you. Water helps dissolve nutrients. It transports oxygen through your body. It helps regulate your temperature. It even helps shape the molecules of life itself. The intricate folded shapes of proteins, the famous double helix of DNA. All of them depend on their watery environment to hold their form. Life does not just use water. Life is water, organized and animated. Once life began, it did not stay simple for long. Over millions of years, single-celled organisms learned to harvest energy from the sun. Through photosynthesis, using water and sunlight, they began to release oxygen, and this quiet, biological process would change the world forever. Imagine that. Water, having helped life to begin, was then gently taken apart by that same life to create the very air we breathe. It took a very, very long time, but thanks to sunlight, carbon dioxide, and the vast, patient oceans, Earth's sky slowly turned blue. The stage was set for more complex forms of life to emerge. At some point, life grew more ambitious. Multicellular organisms appeared, and with them, the need for internal plumbing. They developed systems to move water around their bodies, to carry nutrients and wash away waste. The sap in a tree, the blood flowing gently through your veins. It is all water, doing its quiet, life-sustaining work. And then came the great journey from water to land. This required incredible creativity. Life had to learn how to hold on to water in a dry world. Plants developed waxy coatings. Animals evolved kidneys to recycle precious water. Every step onto dry land was taken with the memory of water, as if life could not bear to leave its first home completely behind. Even today, our connection is unbreakable. Our bodies are about 60% water. Our brains, our hearts, our muscles, every beat and every thought depends on it. You could survive for weeks without food, but only a few days without water. It is the thread that runs through everything, from those mysterious deep-sea vents to the cells in your own skin. Water connects every chapter of life's story. So as you lie here, feeling the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, remember that you are part of this story. The water within you is part of a cycle that has flowed for billions of years. It has nourished all life that has ever been, and it is nourishing you now as you drift deeper and deeper into rest. It is easy to imagine our world as a fixed and stable place, but its history is one of constant, gentle motion, a story of shifting waters and slow, dramatic changes in climate. Earth's past is a saga of floods and freezes, and water has always been the artist, reshaping the planet with a patient and tireless hand. Let us drift back to the ice ages. There have been many. These were periods of profound, deep cold, when enormous glaciers crept down from the poles, covering vast stretches of the land in thick, heavy sheets of ice. At times, during a period nicknamed Snowball Earth, it is believed that ice reached all the way to the equator. Imagine the entire planet, wrapped in a blanket of white reflecting the sunlight back into space in a deep, planetary slumber. Water plays a central role in this cycle. As temperatures fall, more snow and ice accumulate. Ice is bright and reflective, so it bounces sunlight away, making the planet even cooler. It is a slow, powerful feedback loop. But just as water helps to freeze the planet, it also helps it to thaw. During these deep freezes, volcanoes continued their slow work, releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. With no liquid oceans to absorb it, this gas slowly built up, creating a greenhouse effect that would eventually warm the planet again. And then came the Great Melt. These were not gentle spring thaws. They were immense releases of water. Glaciers melted, pouring unimaginable amounts of water across the land, carving deep valleys and raising the level of the seas. Entire continents shed their icy coats, and the water surged forward. The Great Lakes of North America are a beautiful reminder of this power. They were carved by the slow, grinding movement of glaciers during the last ice age. When the ice retreated, the meltwater filled these new basins. That peaceful lake, you might imagine, was sculpted by a wall of moving ice, 2 kilometers thick. These melting glaciers also created enormous inland seas. At the end of the last ice age, a vast freshwater lake called Lake Agassiz covered a huge part of North America, larger than all the Great Lakes combined. When its ice dams eventually gave way, the floods that followed were almost beyond comprehension, water reshaping the world in a geological instant. This was not just happening in one place. Inland seas have appeared and disappeared on every continent. For long periods, much of Europe and North America were underwater, creating warm, shallow seas where giant marine creatures once swam. All of this reshaping is thanks to water's persistence. It is never in a hurry, but it is always working, eroding, dissolving, carrying, and depositing. Over millions of years, it sculpts canyons like the magnificent Grand Canyon, a testament to the slow, steady work of the Colorado River. It builds new land, too, as rivers deposit silt to create fertile floodplains where life can flourish. Even now, water continues to transform our planet. The climate is changing, and this is accelerating the water cycle. Glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, and weather patterns are shifting. It is a reminder that while water may seem gentle, it is a powerful force, and our world is not fixed but fluid. There is something deeply comforting in knowing that water has been through all of this before. It has frozen solid and boiled into steam. It has crossed continents and carved mountains. Through it all, it has persisted. The story of Earth's transformations is a story of resilience, a reminder that the most powerful force in the world is not fire or stone, but a single drop of water, repeated billions and billions of times, a gentle, relentless rhythm, like a slow, steady heartbeat, lulling the world and you to sleep. For billions of years, water shaped the planet. And then, a curious creature came along, a creature that stood upright, that looked at the stars, and that got thirsty. And so began a new chapter in water's story, one where it became a partner in survival, a subject of reverence, and the heart of civilization. This chapter belongs to us. From the very beginning, water decided where humans could live. Our earliest ancestors followed the water. Rivers, lakes, and springs were like magnets, offering not just a drink, but food, fertile soil, and life itself. The great rivers of the world, the Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus, the Yangtze. These were not just features on a map. They were the cradles of civilization. Settling near water shaped how people thought. In nearly every ancient culture, water was seen as sacred. In ancient Egypt, the yearly predictable flood of the Nile was the pulse of life itself, bringing silt that made the land fertile. This gentle, reliable rhythm shaped their calendars, their agriculture, and their belief in benevolent gods. In the Indus Valley, ancient cities were built with astonishingly sophisticated water systems, including public baths and drainage. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro may have been used for ritual purification, a quiet communal place of cleansing and contemplation. Humans were not content to just drink water. They wanted to live with it, thoughtfully and gracefully. Water became the center of our myths. In many creation stories, a primordial ocean existed before all else. There is something universally resonant in this idea, water being there first, silent, vast, and full of potential. To harness its power, humans became clever. They dug wells, built canals, and created reservoirs. In ancient Persia, marvelous underground channels called comets tapped into mountain aquifers, carrying water for miles beneath the desert to allow cities to bloom in the arid landscape. They were cool, dark, silent highways of water, a testament to human ingenuity. In India, beautiful stepwells were built, allowing people to descend stairways to meet the water as its level changed with the seasons. They were often architectural masterpieces, places of cool refuge and quiet community. And then, there were the aqueducts, perfected by the Romans. These were stone marvels, carrying water across vast distances on soaring arches. They brought millions of gallons of fresh water into bustling cities, feeding fountains and, most famously, the great public baths. These baths were not just for getting clean. They were centers of social life, places with heated rooms, cold plunges, and steam baths. You could go there to relax, to talk, to think. Water flowed constantly, a symbol of the Roman commitment to health, hygiene, and civic life, a shared resource for everyone. This act of managing water shaped our understanding of the world. It led to early developments in mathematics, physics, and engineering, and it deepened our emotional connection to water. We swim in it for joy. We bathe in it for purification. We sit beside it to reflect. Its gentle flow is a metaphor for the passage of time itself. In our modern world, with its complex infrastructure, it is easy to forget this deep history. But every time you turn on a faucet, you are participating in a tradition as old as civilization. You are connected to those ancient well diggers and aqueduct builders. The water that flows so easily into your home has traveled a long, long way, not just through pipes but through all of human history, to reach you, to bring you comfort and peace. And so our journey through time brings us closer to the present moment, closer to home. We have traveled from the birth of stars to the birth of cities, but now let us drift into the quiet science of water itself. Beneath its simple, clear surface lies a world of beautiful physics and gentle chemistry. Remember that simple V shape of the water molecule, H2O. That slight bend is the secret to its magic. It creates a polarity, allowing water molecules to cling to one another with what are called hydrogen bonds. This gentle stickiness is responsible for so many of water's quiet miracles. It creates surface tension, a delicate invisible skin on the water's surface. It is why a drop of morning dew can cling so perfectly to a spider's web, why tiny insects can glide across a still pond as if walking on glass. This stickiness also allows for capillary action, water's ability to defy gravity and travel upward through tiny spaces. It is how a great tree can drink water from its deep roots all the way up to its highest leaves. A silent, daily miracle of hydraulic engineering. Water also has a very high specific heat capacity. This just means it takes a lot of energy to change its temperature. This property is a great gift to our planet. The oceans act like a vast thermal blanket, absorbing the sun's heat and releasing it slowly, which moderates our climate and makes life far more comfortable. Without it, our days would be scorchingly hot, and our nights freezing cold. And then, there is the quiet wonder of ice. Most things become denser when they freeze, but water becomes lighter. Ice floats. This is not just a curious fact. It is essential for life. If ice sank, lakes and rivers would freeze from the bottom up in winter, and all the life within them would be lost. Instead, the ice forms a protective, insulating layer on the surface, and the water below remains liquid. It is one of nature's most elegant and fortunate exceptions to the rules. The water cycle itself is a form of planetary breathing. Powered by the sun, water evaporates from oceans and lakes, rising as invisible vapor into the sky. It is a slow, silent lifting of trillions of gallons every day. Plants also contribute, gently breathing out water vapor in a process called transpiration. As this vapor rises, it cools and condenses, forming clouds, tiny droplets of water, clinging to microscopic particles of dust, gathering together, and when the clouds become heavy with this collected moisture, the water returns to the earth as rain or snow, a gentle release, a giving back. Each drop of rain begins a new journey. It might fall into a river and travel to the sea. It might seep deep into the ground, joining vast, hidden aquifers where it will rest for centuries. It might be drawn up by the roots of a flower, ready to begin the cycle once more. It's an endless, graceful ballet of movement, connecting every part of world. And now that cycle has been guided to your home. Through a silent, hidden network of pipes, water that has been carefully cleaned and purified completes the last leg of its journey to your tap. The processes are complex: coagulation, filtration, disinfection, but the result is simple, clean, safe, life-sustaining water available with a simple touch. It is a modern marvel that we so often take for granted, a quiet triumph of ingenuity and care that flows invisibly beneath our feet, through the walls of our homes, bringing comfort and health. It is the end of one long journey and the beginning of another, as it nourishes you. And so, we arrive here, at the end of our story. We have journeyed from the cold heart of a nebula to the warm heart of your home. Water's story, of course, never truly ends. It continues to flow in its endless, graceful cycle. As you lie here, on the edge of sleep, perhaps you can feel that connection. The water that makes up so much of your own body is part of this ancient cosmic story. It has traveled through stars and clouds, through rivers and glaciers, through the roots of ancient trees and the veins of kings. It has been a part of everything, and now it is a part of you. Let this thought be a comfort, a reminder of your place in this vast, beautiful, interconnected world. The gentle rhythm of your breathing is like the tides. The warmth of your body is like the sun-warmed sea. You are a part of this story. As you drift now, let any remaining thoughts dissolve, like salt in water. Let the sound of my voice fade into the background, becoming just a gentle murmur, a soothing current to carry you into your dreams. May your sleep be deep and peaceful. May your dreams be calm and clear, like a quiet lake under a sky full of stars. Rest well. Good night.